Okay, I'm just going to introduce ourselves and say a few introductory things as we wait for more people to sign in. Just so that you know, this is the information session for the Master's in Behavioral and Decision Sciences. Um, at the end of this presentation, we're going to have time for questions and answers. And if you have questions that come up during the session, what you might want to do is put them in the chat. And then towards the end of the session, we will make sure that we address all of them. And then, of course, you're also welcome at that time to, if you're able to say something verbally as well. Okay. I also wanted to give you a sense of the agenda for the information session today. In addition to giving an overall program overview, I'm going to talk a little bit about who is part of the team, a little bit about our faculty members and alumni, going to explain more about what the curriculum entails, a little bit about resources that are available to students in this program, things about the demographics of our current year, as well as student development, alumni and employment outcomes, and then a whole bunch about our capstone course and design challenge, and more about what that is. Towards the end, going to talk about admissions requirements and then open it up to questions and answers. Again, if you have questions during the time, probably the best thing is to put those into the chat and we will address them towards the end. Oops. So what is behavioral and decision sciences? This is a very multidisciplinary field, and the theories and research that inform the field are themselves interdisciplinary. So behavioral economics is like the intersection of psychological insights, human behavior, and economic decisions. Decision sciences is in and of itself interdisciplinary. Data and network analysis, how things are connected within a system, and then public policy. How do you influence policy which can apply to multiple settings? The other thing that this particular program emphasizes is that we don't just look at the theory that informs all of these areas. It has a practical focus that starts from the very beginning of the program. And like I said, we're going to be talking about that a little later in the presentation. But if you wanted to summarize it in a sentence, the program prepares you to understand how individuals and groups make decisions, and more importantly, how to affect those decisions. So you might ask, okay, why do organizations need something like behavioral sciences? All of these things that are listed here, think about how these impact really any employment setting. You're always going to be wanting to make better decisions no matter what kind of industry you're in. Lots of times you're trying to shape behavior. If you are a business, you may be trying to influence customers. If you're a nonprofit who's serving a population, you may have an overall goal about the impact that you want to have. Driving change, again, an area that applies to almost every employment setting. And then sparking innovation. And there's a few examples listed on this slide, more specifically about different kinds of ways that behavioral science has been written about. So wanted to introduce you a bit to our team. Professor Christina Bicchieri is the creator and visionary for this program. And the program is now about 10 years old. She created this program. If you take a look at this slide, at what connections she has, she is the director not only of this program, but also the director for the Center for Social Norms and Behavioral Dynamics. She's a professor of legal studies at Wharton. Just take a look at this, 30 years of research and consulting experience, the author of over 200 articles and 7 books. And she and I share a wall. Her office is literally right next to mine, and she also teaches one of our courses. The rest of our team is all here today. I will say I am the newest member of the team. I am very new to this position and the program. I am not new to higher ed or to advising. So you've met me, but I want to introduce Marco and Megan, who are also here on this call. We also have Akila, who is from recruiting and admissions, that is going to be available to answer questions. So, Marco, take it away.
Yeah, Jenny, thank you very much. Marco Carrara, I support the MBDS since 3 years, and my primary focus is the design challenge. We will talk later, but basically is connecting our students with employers of different institutions. During my presentation in a few minutes, I will go through in details. Nice to meet you all virtually.
Hi, I'm Megan Wilkins. I'm the program coordinator, so I'm the person that helps you get set up in the systems and get what you need while you're here. Thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you both. We all work very closely with one another. We're a tight team, and we're here to always make the program better, see what the program needs. And here I wanted to introduce, at least on this presentation, a little bit about our faculty. Diego, Nazli, and Eugen all teach part of our core curriculum, which I'm going to go over in just a moment. Diego also teaches game theory. Nazli also is involved this year with the Design Challenge class, which Marco is going to talk about a little bit later. Eugen just got an award for being, someone highlighted 40 under 40. If you've ever heard of those kinds of awards, he just received that. Michael Halsworth, he is teaching this semester a course that's very popular, AI and Human Behavior. Zarak Khan has been a consultant on our design challenge. Again, I'm going to let Marco explain more about his role. Ed Roisman, he teaches our judgments and decision classes. He has a psychological background. And Alex is our professor who is the expert on the quantitative data analysis piece of this degree. And here is a little bit, brief overview of our advisory board. We always want to be knowing where things stand in the industry, and so rely on people from a variety of different professions to inform the curriculum as we continue to move forward. So what is the curriculum? As designed, it is 1 year long, although I will say some people decide to take courses on a more part-time basis. Some people decide to extend the program to 3 semesters, but it really is designed to be completed in full in 2 semesters. There are 9 course units. We use that term course units here. A course unit is equivalent to 3 or 4 credits at a typical university. We just happen to call it a course unit. So in case you're wondering, what is that? We've got 6 courses that are required. They're mandatory. I will go over that in the next slide. And then there are 3 elective courses, 2 of which can be outside of the College of Arts and Science, School of Arts and Sciences. So what does that look like? So these first 3 courses that you see here, these are the 3 courses that every single student has to take. And whom the professors that I showed you on the prior slide are some of the key people for these classes. And if you're curious about what exactly these classes entail, I do encourage you to go to our website and look at the course selection for the current fall and spring semester, because you can click directly on these classes and look up a course description. 2 of the other core classes, there is a choice. There is a quantitative unit, of which you can take 1 of the 2 courses listed here. And there is an applied unit. So there are 3 course choices here. You only have to take 1. Although I will say sometimes if somebody's area of interest is in one of these areas, you can take more than 1 as one of your elective choices. And then finally, there is the capstone. Fall semester of the capstone is a half of a CU, so not a full CU, but together, fall and spring semester equals 1 CU. So these are representative of the core classes with a few choices in there of what every single student takes. And then, like I said, there are 3 electives. So we want one of the courses to ideally be within our curriculum, the BDS curriculum. And there's a sample of courses listed here on the screen that are all possibilities. Although depending on your individual career goals, it could also, instead of being within BDS, be within the larger School of Arts and Sciences. So that is an option. And then 2 of the electives can be from across the university. As far as what those courses are, those choices are individually tailored to what makes the most sense for you and your career goals. But again, I really encourage people to take more of the BDS courses, which are the heart of the interdisciplinary nature of the degree. Also, there's some other choice points. So instead of one of the electives that you just saw, some students choose to do an independent study with the professor where you're designing your own project and the professor is serving as the liaison for that. I have a few students who are looking at that for this upcoming semester. And then there's this other course that one of our professor runs, this special topics in behavioral decision sciences. And I wanted to specifically read to you how he describes it, because he describes it as a hands-on seminar that gives students the opportunity to work directly with and be mentored by leading academics. For 2026, that would be from Penn, Stanford, Cornell, Harvard, and others. And that's a very small class that some students are able to partake in. So all of these different ways to make the curriculum individualized to you. And then the other great thing, of course, is that we are at Penn and you are able to take advantage of the entire resources at University of Pennsylvania. So 1, there is your alumni network, which is always going to be very helpful in networking, which can then lead to job opportunities, which of course is one of the areas most people are interested in. There is a very involved career services office that serves the whole university, does have specialized services for graduate students. You have access to Penn's library system, which is an amazing resource that is part of being part of this program. And then, of course, there's always things going on in campus. You know, there's always shows and cultural events and speakers that are coming, and you can participate in all of those areas. And then, of course, you know, there's faculty doing amazing and interesting research that by virtue of being a student here, you can always try connecting with that might be in line with an area that you are also focusing on. And I think I'm going to turn this over to Marco.
Jenny, thank you so much for the clear explanation about the curriculum, the resources at Penn. And I want to start talking about the CSNBD, the Center for Social Norms and Behavior Dynamics, always founded by Professor Bicchieri, approximately at the same time when she founded our master. And the CSNBD, which is located on the same floor of the building where we are, has three major pillars: consulting, research, training, and education. And basically, for consulting, they support international and national institutions about different public policy, especially topics. Recently, Christina, she's completing a very important study on the poverty in America for the Temple Foundation. She consulted for the Gates Foundation on sanitation in India. She also consulting, for example, on safety to an important insurance company in the United States. They do the research, and this is the core of their mission. They conduct experiment on human behavior, and I have to say that our students take advantage of this proximity and especially of the research part to join the center after the graduation or even during their study. The last pillar is training and education. The center organizes virtual CSNBD talk when they invite behavioral experts from around the world. They organize a conference called NOBEC here at Penn when Christina invite prominent behavioral science from around the world. So I would say that the center, it's one of the connections that we have with the external world in terms of behavioral science with three pillars: consulting, research, training, and education. Could you please give me the next slide? Thanks. A little bit about the student demographics. 83% are international. 17, of course, are Americans. Of the international student, we have a significant representation from Far East, and China. Far East meaning Singapore, Indonesia, Taiwan, China. We have some from Europe and Latin America. So we cover pretty much, and some from Middle East too, actually. So we cover pretty much the entire world. 57% of our students are female. And in terms of work experience, I would say that 70% they have some work experience, meaning 0 to 2 years work experience. 30% they have 3+ work experience, and they come with a very diverse background. And I want to focus on this diverse background because when I will start to explain to you about the design challenge, you will see the reason why we offer such a broad number of industry affiliates. So the background is in economics, in business, marketing, but more than 15 majors are represented, psychology, HR management. So really, it's our students come from a diverse background and go following graduation. Please, the next slide.
Sorry.
Yeah. So go to professional development. I would say that only a minority of our students want to pursue a career, want to do a PhD. 95% they look for going back to business institutions. So what we do is we offer professional coaching for development, both with Penn resources and with me and Jenny. We have the advisory board and alumni that can mentor our students. And in terms of statistics, more than 90% of the graduates are in full-time position within 6 months from their graduation, which is really, really good. And I have to say lately that some of the students, I would say a significant percentage, they start to work for this company even before graduation on a part-time relationship. Next slide, please. An important part of the program is the OPT program through MBDS. OPT stands for Optional Training Program Training. What does it mean? That if you are an international student, and I told you that 83% of our students are international, you come here with the F1 visa. If after graduation you find a job related to what you studied, okay, you can stay under this visa for 1 additional year. And because MBDS is a STEM program, you can stay additional 2 years. So it means that if you come from any country and you come here with an F1 visa, student visa, which is the typical visa, then you find a job related to behavioral science, and certainly we can support you. Then, if you wish so, you can stay up to additional 3 years, which is very good because it offers you the opportunity to complete your education here in United States. Next slide. Here is quite interesting. We track 174 companies that hire our students. 80% are in the United States and 20% are international. So it means that what I told you before, that our students come here and they are hired by American company and they stay here under the OPT program and then maybe other form of visa. But I want to talk about the job title because I think this is crucial for some students coming here. Only if you look, these are the titles of more than 500 alumni. And I summarized this in 10 job titles. Yes, there is the title behavioral scientist that cover behavioral analyst, behavioral expert, and so on. But look at the other job title: consultant, strategy and management, customer experience and design specialist, data and research analyst, financial services and investment analyst, HR and organizational effectiveness lead, leadership or executive role, marketing, policy and social impact, product manager. Why I want to show you this? Because, and I come back with what Jenny told at the beginning, we are an interdisciplinary master, and think in this sense. In the business environment or in institution, there are many good financial analysts. In marketing, there are many good marketers. In product management, there are very good product managers, but not so many that they had the behavioral science expertise to their HR expertise. Okay, so, and it goes back to the essence of the market, of the master. Understand how a group of people interact, why they interact in a certain way, and design strategies to influence or to nudge this group of people toward certain direction. And that's why all these so diverse job titles. Thanks, Jenny. The next one. We foster the alumni community. How? Well, they come to on campus when they are in town for talking to our students. We do remote event, virtual events. Some of our students are now hired, but companies that work for us. And so for us, the alumni community is absolutely important. And actually, we are, some of our students are helping us to revamp or energize with new ideas this community with a global alumni advisory board. Thanks, Jenny. And now we arrive at what is special about the MBDS program. So yeah, of course, there are all Jenny explained, our faculty, our advisory board, all the curriculum, but something that is very unique and hands-on is the design challenge. The design challenge, next slide, please, are real companies with real problems that submit their problems to our students, and the students start to work on this question, say, from fall semester up to the end of the spring semester. And this is a slide that we utilize when presenting the design challenge to external partners. So we say, do you have a human problem to solve? Human problem related to consumer health, finance, marketing, and so on. We can support your team or your organization to make behaviorally informed decision to be more effective. How? Please. Becoming we call industry affiliates. What is an industry affiliate? Basically, an industry affiliate is a company that decide to partner with us. How? Providing a question that our students, let's say, work on during 1 year. And basically, what's the advantage to be an industry affiliate? Well, first of all, they receive informed decision from academic point of view, but also from the practical point of view. Our proposals are always data-backed. They can access small-scale or large-scale behavioral change solution. They can identify top talents for future partnership. They can join our events. And most important, or also very important, is 100% free. So basically, they access up-to-date, high-end consulting from our students, supported behind the scenes by the faculty, myself, 100% free. And I tell you, when you will see the list of industry affiliates that is growing year after year, you will see that more and more industry affiliates, companies see this advantage. Please, Jenny. I told you that how it works, and I put this into a timeline. During fall, okay, the company comes, present the question to the students, and the students decide which company they like to work on. We build groups of 4, 5 students, and during fall, they start to preliminary work with the client to define the question, which is the typical work that any consulting company does when they receive an engagement from a client. So at the beginning, you want to understand if you understood the question, if there are other questions that are not clear, and so on. Then between January and April, the students supported, okay, by faculty, alumni, and myself, they work on this question. In May, they present their solution to the industry affiliates, and at that point, the industry affiliates can decide what to do. Many options. They can hire the students. They can decide to continue to work with the Center for Social Norm and Behavior Dynamics, or they can implement the solution by themselves. So, and this is the list of industry affiliates, which is, I would say, quite impressive. And let me say, quite impressive. The reasons why I think is quite impressive, because it's very diverse. So there are here household names: JP Morgan, Accenture, Ernst Young, right? There are household names in World Bank, OECD. But then you start to see Vanguard. But then you have to see Deloitte. But then you have to see companies, for example, that are small consulting firms like Busy, like Cowrie Consulting, like BIT, that I don't see where is, or Diagnostic Your Way, that are very good in their segment. So, for example, Busy is probably one of the most important boutique consulting firm in healthcare. We have other institutions or companies like Project Inspire. These are 2 professional soccer players that started a soccer league for athletes with intellectual disability. And we are supporting them from the behavioral point of view. We have Free People, very small there, which is one brand of the anthropology company, and so on. So why this diverse list of industry affiliates? Because the students come from a diverse background. And as I repeat continuously to all the students, during this year, you are here to experiment. You are here to discover. You are here to change maybe your mind. And so it's our obligation to provide you a big, a very wide portfolio of companies. Please, Jenny. No, the next one. Questions. How my screening startup founders for specific behavioral traits help access fit with an early stage VC fund philosophy and vision? How do you drive someone to switch tech ecosystem? How we nudge individual towards the adoption of a specific health products? How we might leverage a behavioral approach to prevent financial product cannibalization. So as you can see, this question, I put just 6. Investing in cryptocurrency, trust in cryptocurrency. They are all very diverse, but all related to human aspect, which is behavioral science. Thanks, Jenny. And with this, it's the end of my part. So I repeat, my part is the job is connecting you to the external world through the design challenge. What is the design challenge? Are companies that partner with us, come in September, show question, present question to our students, and the students during one entire year, they work on this question, presenting their solutions to their client toward the end of the spring semester. Thank you. Jenny, you have the stage.
Okay. Thank you so much, Margot. Really appreciate all of the detail. And I just want to add, for those of you who are considering applying to this program, this marrying of theoretical with practical is something I believe so strongly in. I have worked in higher ed for a very long time. This is gold, being able to take what you're learning and apply it to a real life situation. This is what is going to make you marketable for advancement or a new kind of career, and that you really can make this into what you want. So I just wanted to say that before going over the admissions that we're looking at. So one of the things that is required if you want to apply is a short answer question to, if you have work experience, to describe some of these projects and things that you've done and the skills you had and gain from that. And if you don't have that work experience, how you see the master's degree supporting what you see as your future career or academic goals. So whichever one applies to you is the one that you would answer. You will need to submit an official transcript, a resume or CV, and then at least 2 letters of recommendation. And you want one of them to be from an employer, ideally, who knows you from that perspective of work experience. Other criteria that we are looking for: if you have under 3 years of work experience, then the GRE is required. And that you would submit employment information if you have more than 3 years. In addition, you would take the TOEFL or IELTS for all if you are a non-native English speaker. These are the criteria listed for the scores that we are looking for. Also, if your transcript is not in English, there are certifications entities like WES that I believe takes your transcript and translate it into English. We did just pass the priority deadline of December 1st, but our regular deadline is coming up. So you have until February 1st to apply if you are interested for the upcoming fall semester. But you might be looking at this really early and looking at the following year. And in that case, you have, a whole year before their priority deadline comes up again. And then to be successful in the academic part of the program, you do need some background in statistics and either game theory or microeconomics. So let's say you don't have this history. There are free courses that you can take online that would give you background in either of these directions. Also at Penn, we are going to be offering courses that would provide this. So if you're interested in taking those at Penn, they would be online. I believe they start in the beginning of July, so during our summer semester, and you would take those prior to the fall semester starting. Now, that said, we aren't excluding anybody who doesn't have that background. We're just saying that you need that background to be able to hit the ground running when you start in the fall. So it's not that, okay, I don't have that background, oh, I can't apply. We're just talking about ways that you can get that background before starting. And we'll indicate that in the acceptance letter if we think that you could benefit from some additional background in those areas. And then as far as like, what's a GPA overall that we're looking for, at least a 3.5. Obviously, if it's higher than that, that would be great. And here are some of the, here's the link to find out more information. Like I said, I highly recommend you not just look at the course titles, which were presented in this presentation, but look on the website and take a look at those course descriptions. Take a look at course descriptions for all of the courses. I really believe that that can help you figure out, is this the right fit for me? If you have additional questions, we have a main email. We have this main email so that it could go to whomever is available to answer those questions. Again, as a reminder, my name is Jenny Weyant. You met Megan Wilkins. You've heard from Marco Carrera. And that concludes the presentation part. And what I don't know is if we have been accumulating questions during the presentation. Megan and/or Akila, any questions that have come up while we were talking?
Well, so we have one question open in the Q&A, and then a couple that were answered already. So the ones that are answered already, will this presentation be shared with attendees? Yes, we are recording it, and it should be posted to our website sometime within the next week. There was another question about what technical skills or languages do students graduate with, and do they learn those in the core courses or the skill boost camps? Marco gave a little answer to that about the boost camps, but if you want to add anything, you can certainly
I can
do so.
add this. Definitely, technical skills and languages is a year-long, actually lifelong education. But the skills boost camps are designed to allow you to interact professionally with clients. If, as I said before, we have 70% of our students that they have a, let's say, early work experience, 30% they have 3+ years. Now, over the last 2 or 3 years, we realized that it was important to build on these skills during specifically classes. These skills are negotiation, are talk about confidentiality, which goes above and beyond an NDA. These skills can be asking questions to a client. These skills is how to say no to a client. So mainly the skills boost camp are during the capstone design challenge, and there is a progression, are designed to support your skills of interacting with the client. Whatever client is, can be Vanguard, can be UNICEF. So still a client.
Thank you, Marco. All right, so we have a couple other questions that came in as well. So the first question, what type of background/job positions do applicants typically have? And I guess this person is asking about people who are coming to the program. So what type of backgrounds do people coming to the program typically have?
Very diverse. The background, I mean, when we read the admission, there are people with background in finance, people with background in HR, background in technology, market research, human capital, healthcare, financial analyst. Really, I cannot tell you 2 or 3 specific background. What I can guarantee you, it's a very, very broad background.
Awesome, thank you.
I think my microphone is working now. Is that right? Okay. I saw a question in here. Sorry. I might have missed this, but do you have the admitted class metrics like the GRE scores, average GPA, et cetera? I don't think that's.
Yeah, we don't typically share that
Yeah, I
that
was going to say, I don't think
information with
that's
the
fair.
public. But you can use the evaluation criteria on the website to gauge, what the admissions committee is looking for in terms of a competitive applicant.
If you have a background in some classes in behavior analysis at a graduate level, are they able to be transferred? We don't transfer credits. Is that our program doesn't? And yeah, I see that you're replying to that, Akila. Are there any scholarships or merit-based scholarships for international students? There are scholarships through Penn, but there are none through MBDS. So I would encourage you to go to a couple of the graduate center has some, and our just Penn Financial Aid office might be able to help you with that.
And Akila, I know that we had a question answer session earlier today. You had shared a great bunch of links. Is that something that you could put in the chat? That would be great.
Absolutely. I'll pull that up and I'll place those in the chat for you guys.
Okay, thank you.
There's a question about the number of students or the average class size. So the incoming students, the group of incoming students for this year was about 120. The average class size depends on the class itself. So like the capstone courses, generally the incoming class is in that course. Some people that decide to do it part-time, they may not take part in the first year of their capstone experience. So the capstone happens fall and spring. So if they're planning on being there over the course of 2 years, they might go in that second year. But generally, students come and they do it in fall and spring. So it's all the incoming students. And then if there's any carryover from the year before. But that's our biggest class. Other than that, we have, it depends on the class. The electives are smaller, the core courses are bigger. It's hard to say. The average, they kind of vary. There's another question.
Marco, are you trying to say something? I think you're on mute.
I was trying to say that, what Megan described is exactly what it is. But for example, for the design challenge, yes, some of the class are basically all the cohort, 100, 110. But then the skills boost weekend that we held 2 weeks ago, the people work in groups, in teams of 4 or 5 with now, for example, the teams are supported, each team by one alumni or by a professional consultant. So during the design challenge, yes, everybody must take this class, but there is a very personalized support. This is what they wanted to have.
There's a question here about, is it possible to complete the program part-time? If so, would the design challenge schedule be affected, or is it still manageable for the part-time students? So I started to sort of explain that. If you do the program over 1 year, you would do your capstone that fall and that spring. If you do it over a year and a half, if you do it over fall, spring, fall, you would have to do it in that first fall, spring, because they're consecutive. So you have to take the fall before you can take the spring. If you take it over 2 years, then you can shift that to the second year. So it would be fall and spring of your second year. And then you would fill in the electives would be taken later. The core courses would be taken sooner, but that capstone course would depend on what your plan is long term. If you're staying for 2 years, it would shift to that second year. Will there be an application fee waiver for this program? I do not believe there's one available. Yeah, I don't know. Typical career paths for graduates in the MBDS program. We did go over that in one of the slides. Marco, do you want to give a little bit more information on that?
We track 174 companies that hired our at this point 500 plus students. This company, they range from here in US, outside, there is a financial institution, there are consulting firms, and so on. What I think that you have to look is what value compared to other students an MBDS graduate bring to this company. And your value is you are a good financial analyst, you are a good HR, you are a good marketer. On top, you understand why a group of people act in a certain way, and you are very good at implementing strategies to nudge these people toward a certain direction. As I say sometimes to people that don't understand behavioral science, is make the right choice the easy choice, meaning how to nudge people to pay taxes online on time, how to nudge these kind of things. So behavioral science is really a cross-disciplinary education.
There's another question here about, is there any specific advice for those pursuing this degree while you're employed at Penn full-time? Since it's built for full-time students, it's actually very easy for people that are already on campus. We would encourage you to reach out with any specific questions, but just like any full-time worker, it's really ideal for that situation. And if you're already on campus, even better.
I'm going to just add my personal viewpoint because I was in that situation fairly recently as I went back to school, got another graduate degree while working full time. It's obviously it depends on how long you have been out of school. It depends on the busyness of your job, how good you are at balancing a bunch of things. What I will say, I don't know how old the person is who asked the question, but there's so much more that is possible today than I think used to be. So I was able to interact with when I was in school, with people online, and work on documents online, and research that you can do can be done online through the library. And all of that flexibility makes it much more possible. And if you're younger, you might already know all of those things, but it is obviously, it's a balance. You are very busy taking 2 classes at once, but it's possible.
There's another question here about how would the skills and experience learned in this program help someone prepare for a PhD or JD?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I would say, well, definitely there are some foundational skills like statistics or behavioral analysis, norms and nudges. But more important, I think, is that we are so close physically to the Center for Social Norms and Professor Bicchieri and other people there, that what I saw happening is that this proximity helps our students that want to pursue a PhD to start a PhD, maybe with the center, maybe getting some information from Professor Bicchieri or others. So it's the networking, the relationship that we offer, and the proximity to the center that prepare the people to this type of.
I think you just accidentally muted yourself, Marco, that last piece of what you were saying.
No, what I was saying is that the proximity to the center and the research activity that they do that will help you to prepare yourself to apply for a PhD.
There are 2 questions that are related that are in the chat. I know we're coming up on time, so I'll try to combine them. Are the courses primarily in person or online or hybrid? All of our courses are in person. We do have online courses in the summer. And the second question had to do with our the prereqs. And she said, Jenny, this person said Jenny was describing it, but it sounds like that they're recommended that we take game theory or macroeconomics or statistics. So statistics and then either game theory or microeconomics. And it's true, we do offer them at Penn in the summer, and those are online. And they happen in our summer 2 session, which starts around July 4th. And then if you can get them in other institutions, if that's available to you, but we offer them in the summer and you get them right in just in time for the start in fall. And then there's one last question. This is again about the fellowships or grants specifically for international students. Again, I don't know of any. There's none through MBDS, but there are some through potentially through our financial services. I can't think what they're called. Financial. You can Google UPenn financial aid, and it'll come up.
And again, I think Akila put some resources. I can't see the chat at the moment, so I think Akila put some resources in the chat that talks about, funding graduate education, which is, to be honest, pretty similar for domestic and international students. The funding for graduate education is very different from undergrad.
So Akila wasn't able to put them in the chat.
Oh no.
She's saying just send them to our MBDS.
Okay, sorry.
Penn-MBDS at sas.upenn.edu, and then we can send them to you from there, the links to explore that further. But I think that's it for the questions. We appreciate all of your attention and your interest in our program. Do you have anything more to add, Jenny?
Just, if you have follow-up questions, like I said, this presentation is going to be sent out. There is an email, but frankly, you could also just look on our website. There's contact information there. Akila is amazing at answering all kinds of questions. So if there's anything that we didn't cover or something that you're like, I think I remember them talking about blah, 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 and I can't remember the details, just let us know.
Absolutely. I remain available to answer any question you might have. But thank you very much for attending.